All right, everybody, welcome back. I am pumped for this one. We're diving deep into some seriously potent wisdom.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we're tackling happiness, but not the fleeting kind, like, the sugar rush happiness, like
Right.
happiness that sticks around. And to guide us, we've got Sadhguru's teachings, especially from inner engineering. Have you ever dived into his stuff before?
Oh, yeah. I'm a huge fan.
Me too. What I love about Sadhguru is he's got this way of explaining these like really deep concepts
Yeah,
in a way that's just so relatable.
absolutely. I think one of the things that really drew me to his work initially was this idea of actually taking control of your happiness instead of just hoping it'll show up.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like not just waiting around for it.
Exactly.
It's like he's saying, hey, you can actually engineer this thing,
You're in the driver's seat.
which is where that whole inner engineering thing comes in.
Yeah.
So what exactly does he mean by inner engineering?
Well, at its core, it's this idea that, lasting happiness doesn't come from chasing external things.
Mm,
It's about looking inward. It's about understanding how your mind works, how your emotions work, your body,
okay.
and then using that understanding to kind of create the experience you want
I see.
from the inside out.
So it's less about like building bridges and skyscrapers
Yeah.
and more about like building you.
Exactly. It's about you becoming the architect of your own inner world.
I love that.
Right.
It is powerful. So how does someone even begin to like engineer their inner world? What are some of the key things Sadhguru talks about?
Well, one of the first things he emphasizes is the importance of detachment.
Detachment.
Yeah.
Okay, now that word always throws me off a bit because I think like, do I have to become like totally emotionless?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
But actually, what he means by detachment is not about suppressing your emotions. It's more about not letting them control you.
Okay.
You know? Like, imagine watching a football game. You can be totally engrossed in the game. You can cheer for your team.
Right.
You can feel the excitement. But when the game's over, win or lose, you don't let it completely dictate your mood for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
You're able to kind of step back from those intense emotions.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm starting to see. So it's not about being indifferent. It's about not letting the outcome
Right.
like completely hijack our inner state.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. So if detachment is like the first step,
Mm-hmm.
what comes next on this journey of inner engineering?
Well, Sadhguru would say the next step is taking responsibility.
Yeah.
Realizing that you're not just a victim of circumstance.
Right.
You're actually the creator of your experience. You're the CEO of your own happiness.
Love that. CEO of your own happiness.
Yeah.
Putting that on a t-shirt. So what are some of those tools or techniques that Sadhguru says can help us, step into that CEO role?
Well, there's a whole bunch. But some of the key ones he talks about are things like meditation, mindfulness, which is really about paying attention to the present moment,
Right.
and conscious breathing.
Yeah. Okay. And I've actually tried incorporating some of these practices like into my own life.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the difference I felt. Even just like 5 minutes of meditation in the morning.
Totally.
It can totally shift my whole perspective.
Amazing.
And it's like he gives us this whole toolkit
Yeah,
to actually work on ourselves.
absolutely.
So cool. Now,
Yeah.
you mentioned mindfulness, and I know that's something Sadhguru really emphasizes, right?
Oh, yeah, big time. For him, mindfulness is really about recognizing that happiness isn't something you find out there in the future. It's not about dwelling on the past.
Right.
It's about being fully present in this moment, right now.
Oh, I struggle with that.
Yeah.
My mind is constantly
Yeah.
jumping to the past, worrying about the future. It's hard to just be here.
It's a practice, for sure. But
Yeah.
even just those little glimpses of present moment awareness
Yeah.
can be so powerful.
You are. It's like everything just kind of softens and brightens
Yeah.
when I can actually be present. So another thing I find fascinating is how Sadhguru talks about this connection between our body, mind, and energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He sees them as this interconnected system. Like you can't really separate one from the other.
And he uses that analogy of a car, right?
Exactly. He's like, you need the engine, which is your body. You need the driver, which is your mind. And you need the fuel, which is your energy. And when all those things are working in harmony, that's when you experience true well-being.
I love that analogy. So what are some of the ways he says we can, create that harmony, that alignment between our body, mind, and energy?
Well, he talks a lot about practices like yoga and pranayama,
Pranayama.
which is essentially conscious breathing techniques.
Oh, okay, I've heard of that.
And these practices, they help to kind of like cleanse and energize the system. So you experience this greater sense of clarity, vibrancy.
That's not just like physical exercise. It's like actually working with your energy. Wow. See, this is what I love about Sadhguru. There's always so much more to uncover. And speaking of uncovering, we can't talk about happiness without addressing, the ego, that part of us that's always comparing, always wanting more.
Totally. The ego, right? It can be a major obstacle on the path to happiness. It's that voice in our head that's always telling us we're not good enough, not thin enough, not rich enough, not successful enough.
Ugh, I know that voice all too well.
And it keeps us trapped in this constant cycle of wanting and striving and never really feeling satisfied.
Yeah, you're right. And Sadhguru, what does he say about the ego?
Well, he talks about the importance of transcending the ego, not letting it run the show. Because true happiness, it comes from a place beyond the ego.
Beyond the ego.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does that look like? How do we get beyond the ego?
It's about recognizing those ego-driven thoughts and patterns and not getting caught up in them. It's about realizing that our worth doesn't come from external validation.
Right.
It comes from within.
Okay, so it's not about like getting rid of the ego entirely.
Yep. Right. It's more about seeing it for what it is, this kind of
Mhm.
like mental construct, and
Right.
not letting it dictate our experience.
That makes sense. Wow, so much to think about. So to recap, Sadhguru's approach to happiness, it's not about chasing external achievements or possessions.
Right.
It's about cultivating this inner state of well-being by mastering our mind, body, and energy,
Mm-hmm.
by taking responsibility for our own happiness.
Absolutely. And if there's one thing I hope our listeners take away from this deep dive, it's this. You have the power to choose happiness. It's not something that just happens to you. It's a skill you can cultivate.
I love that.
Okay.
And as we wrap up here, what's one question you'd like to leave our listeners with?
How about this? What's one small step you can take today to bring more joy into your life? Maybe it's 5 minutes of meditation. Maybe it's taking a walk in nature and really appreciating the beauty around you. Maybe it's just taking a few deep breaths and being present in this moment. What's one thing you can do right now to choose happiness?
That's a fantastic question. And remember, this is just a starting point. There's a whole world of wisdom out there waiting to be explored. Keep diving, keep learning, and keep choosing
I
happiness.
got it.